Hi guys, Josh here, aka Beards and Books, and today I need your help essentially. I'm going to do a video on adult book series that I haven't read yet, and I need your help on which ones I should read. I hope you enjoy. So guys, you might have seen I recently did a video on popular YA series that I haven't read, where I was going for a similar theme essentially. It's not a review, it's me talking about the series I haven't read. I've thought about reading at one point or another, but I've just never got around to, and I wanted to talk to you guys and get your feedback on which ones you'd recommend the most. Same theme for today, the only difference is I'm going for adult book series, so any series that is not classed as YA. There's going to be a real mix of fantasy, thriller, whatever you want. I'm going to try and include it in here. I hope you enjoy. I'm going to start off with the series that probably scares me the most. If you saw my Road So Far original tag video, which I will put up here if you haven't, you'd have heard me talk about the Wheel of Time series, which is a series that I've wanted to read for a long time, but it intimidates me. There's no point, there's no way of batting around it. Like, it's scary, as simple as that. So why is it scary? So it's 14 books. The Wheel of Time series is 14 books. So this was originally wrote by an author called Robert Jordan, who sadly passed away before the last book was finished. Brandon Sanderson, who obviously is a legend in himself in the fantasy world, came on board, helped finish the last book. Now, I started reading the first book. I found it slow. I found it really slow. Not like, I found Lord of the Rings slow, but I know that I really like the series and the story of Lord of the Rings, so I powered through anyway. From where I don't know the Wheel of Time, and it started slow, I found it really hard to get engrossed in the story. So I actually borrowed the book number one, which is Eye of the World, from a friend of mine who really recommended the series. I think I read about 100 pages, and I couldn't do it. I ended up putting it down, putting it on the shelf, saying I'll come back to that soon. I'll come back to that soon. And then before you know it, I'd done another 5 or 6 books, and I just knew I wasn't going to go back to it. So I gave it back to my friend. At some point, I'm definitely going to buy the first book, and I'm going to force myself to power through. Now, the problem is the first book alone is 800 pages. So it's quite hard to psych myself up to do an 800-page book, knowing that I didn't enjoy the first chunk of it. Now, I'm a big fantasy fan, so I have no doubt that when I get into the series, I'll probably love it. And a series of 14 books gives me a lot to read. You know, that's my TBR's done for, like, at least a couple months. So that's great. But persevering through the first chunk, I've really struggled with. So any Wheel of Time fans out there, let me know, where for you did the story really kick off and really get engrossing? Did you struggle with the first book like I did? Or am I the odd one out and you managed to get straight through? So kind of following on from the Wheel of Time fantasy element, as I mentioned, Brandon Sanderson finished the last Wheel of Time book. Now, I am one of the very odd people on BookTube, especially in fantasy fans, that has never read a Brandon Sanderson book. I'm not going to talk about a specific series, although I think I will start with the Mistborn trilogy. But what I want to talk to you about is Brandon Sanderson in general. So as I mentioned, I haven't read one Brandon Sanderson book. I don't know where to start. I don't know what the best series is. I don't know if it's actually worth my time. The problem I've had with Brandon Sanderson is I've watched a lot of reviews, especially of his bigger and more recent books, and it's very mixed. Some people love Brandon Sanderson. They think, he's George R.R. Martin level fantasy and he's brilliant. Others think his world and his political intrigue building is great, and the way he builds his characters are great, but the actual story and where the series goes maybe isn't the same, which has always, again, put me off. I've thought about picking up the Mistborn trilogy, and at the moment that's where I will start if I do Brandon Sanderson. But fans of Brandon Sanderson, is there maybe a solo book I could pick? I don't know if he even does solo books, honestly. Everything seems to be a trilogy or a quadrilogy or whatever it is for even more than that. So I don't know if he's done any single books, but let me know. Next up is a more horror-based series. This is one I've tried to read, and the book that I read I hated, and that is Stephen King and the Dark Tower series. So I not ruined it for myself, but I did it completely wrong. I picked up The Gunslinger when the film came out. I read the book. I hated it. I thought it was so slow. I thought nothing happened. It was basically just a lot of talking for 200 and something pages. The best thing about it was the fact that it was only 200 and something pages. Now, I know that's not the first, I now know that's not the first book in the Dark Tower series, so I probably shot myself in the foot for reading it in that order anyway. But having read the one book from the Dark Tower, which was The Gunslinger, it's put me off going back to read any more. would Stephen King fans out there, would you recommend I go back to the first book in the Dark Tower series and try and read it on? I don't know if it even matters, in all honesty, whether you read them in order or not. So if not, is there a book alternative to the first one that you'd recommend I pick up? Let me know. One that I've started to pick up, going more thriller based, is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I believe is part of the Millennium series. These seem to be really popular. In terms of thriller books, there isn't many series that I know of that have got such attraction and such a following as The Girl with, or the girl that takes an eye for an eye, or you know what I mean. The Millennium series, it's got such a cult following. It seems to have done really well in both the films and the books, so it's one I definitely want to read. Hence why I have been picking them up as I go. I haven't read a lot of thrillers, which is probably why I've left this one so far. But is it a good place for me to start with thrillers? Luckily, the book's just over 500 pages, which is a big book. But from where I'm used to reading novels like Game of Thrones, I'm so used to that sort of size of book, it doesn't intimidate me too much. But I don't know whether it's worth me investing time into this series versus other thrillers. What I need is recommendations on thrillers from you guys. Something I haven't talked about much with this, being a booktube channel, is the fact that I'm also a big gamer. The same as, a lot of 90s babies are. I've been a big gamer since my childhood, in the same way that I read books. In the same vein as why I love books, it's the stories you get engrossed in and the characters that you follow and you live their life. One of my recent loves in gaming is a series called The Witcher. Now, I didn't realise when I first started playing The Witcher that, again, this is a massive series by Andrzej Skrzydłowski. Apologies if I'm saying that wrong. It's a Polish name. I probably have completely butchered it. This is a long-running series. Now, all of the books in Polish have been translated to English, so it's one I can easily pick up. And again, I know the story roughly from the game. So this is a monster hunter series, essentially. We follow the main character, Geralt, who is a witcher, which is someone that is trained from a young age and modified to be able to fight monsters. They're given powers and they're given special skills that help them fight monsters. The flip side to that is they're also pushed away from society because the powers that they have make them scary to the average man. Now, I love the game. I do want to pick up the books at some point, but from what I've read, the books are mainly shorter stories packed together. I haven't read a lot of books in that style where it's multiple short stories, so I'm not sure how I'd feel about them, and I don't want to ruin the love I have for the game by reading the books. I'm sure I won't, but you never know. But are there any of you out there that played the game and read at least some of the books? What did you think? Finally, for this video, so the last series I want to talk to you about that I'm thinking of picking up would be the James Bond series. Now, hopefully you've seen my review for Forever and a Day. If not, the handy link will appear in the corner somewhere. I might be doing the wrong one. I really enjoyed this book. Now, the problem I have and why I haven't picked up the rest of the series is this is one of two books written by the latest Bond author, which is Anthony Horowitz. I really enjoyed this one. I gave the review for it really positive. I have picked up Trigger Mortis, which is the second book in the series that Anthony Horowitz is writing. It's like the 30th book in the Bond series overall or something crazy like that. I know I enjoyed this one, and I am confident that I would enjoy Trigger Mortis. Where I'm sceptical with this series is I don't know whether I should go back and read the older style. Now, James Bond as a character has probably changed in the years. I know the original books and films he's painted as more gentlemanly, whereas the newer ones, especially these by Anthony Horowitz, from where it's an origin story, the character is completely different. So whilst I enjoyed this version of Bond, being his first ever mission as 007, I don't know whether I'll go back and read the old stories and I'll enjoy them as much. I've always struggled with older, more classic books anyway, from where the writing style is so different to what we're used to today. I just don't know. I'm sceptical. As I mentioned, I have picked up Trigger Mortis, so I will definitely continue the Bond series, at least in its newest editions. If I enjoy this one, I'm sure I'll pick up any others that Anthony Horowitz does. My main question is, should I pick up the original Ian Fleming estate Bond books? What do you think? So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this one. Again, this isn't a review video, it is slightly different. It's me trying to get your feedback on series that I should invest my time on in future, and also do reviews on. These series are ones that if they go well, if I enjoy them, and if you do, I'll happily do videos on. So I just want to get your feedback on what content you want to see and what you recommend I read. Obviously, although I class myself as a booktuber and I read a lot of books, I haven't even scratched the surface, the amount of books that are out there in the world. So I need your help knowing what to pick up. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything you'd recommend, even anything outside of these. If there are different series that you think I should pick up along the thriller, horror, fantasy, sci-fi, even YA lines from my previous video, let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, guys. It does help a new booktuber out a lot and it is very much appreciated. I've recently set up an Instagram page, which I will put down below. So if you want to hear more from me and obviously speak to me more and more, please follow me and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.